Entrepreneur.com just published an article 3 weeks ago stating that 94% of business owners will never make $1 million a year, which is $83,000 a month. But with the rise of AI and new tools, growing your business is becoming easier than ever. But the bad news is that this is also true for your competition, and that's why it's actually getting harder. And over the past years, I've helped over 100 clients grow their businesses, turning my own business into a 7-figure business too. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the 9 mistakes that business owners make are keeping them from hitting $100,000 a month. And the first and biggest mistake is that most business owners use AI completely wrong. You know, most business owners spend hours chatting with AI and then getting a lot of ideas, but they don't implement it. When I first launched Facebook ads, I spent hours and hours talking to ChatGPT about how to run Facebook ads. And I kept chatting with it until I was satisfied with the answers. But what I realized is that I kept chatting with it until I got what I wanted to hear, which was not necessarily what I needed to hear. Because you see, AI tools are built to help you, but they're also those gigantic pleasing machines, and they will give you a lot of positive reinforcement and everything, which is not necessarily a good thing. Because I'm sure that you notice that it tells you that every idea is great, and when you correct it, it tells you again that you're so smart for spotting the mistake or whatever. Don't get me wrong, AI is great, but it's not an all-knowing business god that's going to skyrocket your business, because it hasn't lived anything. It's got no experiences of its own. So don't get lost in an endless cycle of research. What I want you to do, or what I want you to take away from this, is that as soon as you have enough information, just implement the thing. Getting more information is only going to make you doubt yourself more. So use AI to get some information and then try it. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, yeah, well, then try the next thing. Businesses grow by doing the work. So if you want to hit $100,000 a month, working more and brute forcing through everything is not the answer, which is the next thing I'm going to talk about. If you're anything like most of my clients, as soon as you want to make your business grow, you think that you just need to work more. So you start taking client calls again, or you do delivery for a while. But soon you realize that you're overworked and you start to enjoy your business less and less. When I first wanted to hit 100K months, I was running a recruitment agency, and my plan back then was that I needed more clients to place more candidates and make more money. What I decided to do was that I was going to open new markets so my team could handle the clients we already had, and then I would take care of the new ones. But what I didn't see back then is that I just added myself another full-time job, because I was the business developer and the recruiter for those new accounts, but I was also the CEO of my own business. And that led me to working 80-hour weeks. And yeah, fine, my business was making more money, but I was also constantly tired, working 6 or sometimes even 7 days a week. And that caused me to start resenting my business just a little. And if you're anything like me, you build your business to enjoy it, not to hate it. So instead of just adding more hours by giving yourself extra jobs or extra responsibilities, ask yourself this question. If I had to double my business and at the same time I couldn't work more than 20 hours a week, what would I do? What would I drop? And what would I delegate? And I promise that the answer to that question is going to prevent you from making this next mistake that's keeping you exactly where you are instead of letting your business grow. The problem with a lot of business owners is that they're really dedicated people. And when something needs to happen, they're usually the first ones to do the thing that's required. And even though it seems like a good idea, it's actually one of the worst things you can do if you want to grow your business. For me, for example, I used to do my own admin, finance, and HR work myself. And you know, I thought, yeah, well, finance was a couple of hours a week, admin was maybe an hour before work, and all my HR stuff was only when I hired people or when I had to pay them at the end of the month. But when I added those hours, well, I noticed that I spent a full week per month on it. Because if I had 1 hour of admin per day, that's 5 hours per week, plus 5 hours of invoicing, bookkeeping, and calling clients to ask them why they're not paying my invoices on time, that was another 5-hour job every week. And then if I add my HR work and so on and so forth on top of that, I would average 10 to 12 hours per week on admin stuff. And back then I was bringing in $20,000 to $30,000 per month in my business, and I found out that by saving my admin time, I could make more money. So I hired an administrative assistant who worked for me part-time, costing me around $2,000 per month. And in return, I added $10K to the business every month, which means I was making $8,000 more in profit. And what I want to encourage you to do here is take a piece of paper, look at your schedule for the past few weeks and at what you've been spending your time on, and then write it into 2 buckets. The first bucket is your core business. It includes the things that are directly bringing revenue or making your business grow. And normally there could be only 4 things in it, depending on the size of your business. But if you're under 100K per month, it should be selling or delivering so you can make more money, hiring and training people to make your business grow. That's the only thing. Selling, delivering, hiring, training. And the second bucket is for all the other things that don't bring in money, such as writing your newsletter, doing your admin, your finance, HR work, customer service, and every other thing that doesn't bring in money. After that, you will know what you need to do more of and what you need to do less of, and who you need to hire next, even if it's somebody part-time. A lot of founders I talk to do everything themselves because they tell me, yeah, but Quentin, nobody can do it like me. And if that's you, it's because you're delegating wrong, which is the next mistake. Let me tell you how to delegate in a way that gets work done the right way without you being involved. If you're not happy with the quality of the work of your team, you might think you have a people issue or a training or performance issue. But most of the time, that's not true. Most of the time, you simply have a delegation issue. So before you think that you hired the wrong person, check how you delegate. A couple of years ago, I was looking to hire new interns in sales, marketing, and HR. So I asked my PA to get us some interns. And after a few weeks of not getting interns, I asked her why the schools were so slow sending us those interns. She looked at me and she said, "What do you mean, the schools?" It turns out that she had published job ads on regular job boards putting internship in the title to get us interns. Now, my assistant was new at the time and I never told her that some schools had dedicated platforms on which we should upload ads for their students to sign up for internships. So it wasn't that she did a bad job. I just failed at delegating the task by not communicating properly what she had to do. So if you want to delegate correctly next time, use this simple framework. You start by giving clear instructions stating what they need to do, how they need to do it, and by when it needs to be done. So for example, I want you to contact those 3 schools and upload job ads for interns on their platforms. And then the second thing you do is you test for understanding by asking them like, hey, so just to make sure that we're both on the same page here, can you tell me in your own words what you're going to do next? And if they understood, great, let them do it. But if they don't, correct them and have them repeat it again until they get it right. And then the third thing you do is that you check in at 25 to 50% of the deadline. So for example, if my PA had 2 weeks to get the first interns, after a week I would check in and ask her how things were going. Even if you have to correct some things, it's not too late to do so. And if you're anything like me, you would rather check in a little too often than be disappointed at the end when most of the time it's too late to correct anything. If you want to build a business that's doing 100K per month, there's something completely different holding you back. And it's what's happening inside your super creative, ambition-fueled business owner brain. So you've got your product or your business and you're selling it to make money. But you notice that a competitor is doing something different or a client asks you for some kind of extra. and then you immediately jump to conclusions and you think that your offer is not enough, and you start modifying it, you start adding things, and in the end you end up creating a completely new offer or a new product, and you think it's going to help your business and that it's going to make you more money, but you're just adding more and more complexity to the business. For example, in my first recruitment agency, in the beginning, we were focused on sales and admin jobs, and we're making decent money. We're doing something between 22 and 30K per month, which was okay back then. I mean, we're a startup with 2 employees plus me, and as a lean startup, it was good money. What happened is that clients also started asking us if we could help them find people in logistics or maintenance or blue collar, and I saw a massive opportunity, so I said yes to everything. But what happened next is that we had to work more because we had more jobs to fill, but revenue dipped. So looking back, the reason is that we weren't trained or experienced in those other sectors or niches my clients asked me to help in. We were specialized in sales and admin. Because of that, it took us longer to fill those other roles, and we made less money of them because in the same amount of times we could close less deals. So I'm not going to give you the same generic advice that everybody's saying, like, yeah, you need to, until 1 million, you can only have one product and you can only focus on one core offer for one demographic, or what do they say? Anyway, that's bullshit for some of you, and it's oversimplified for others. But what I am going to tell you is that unless your business runs completely without you for the thing you're actually doing, you're not ready to add new things. So if you want to test something new, build a business first in a way it can run without you, and that will free up your time to test new things. If you see they work and they are worth the time of other people, then you can add it. But please don't go sacrificing your employees' time and your company's revenue on a hunch. And that leads me into the next mistake. A lot of people lead through feelings, sometimes even without realizing it. And the thing about feelings is that, well, as you know, they don't pay the bills. Most of the time, business owners trust their gut, which is ultimately a good thing. But it's only a good thing if you follow up on that gut feeling and do some research so that you can make decisions and lead based on facts and not only on those feelings. So for example, I've got a client who is running an IT consulting firm. And last week he told me that he felt like the market was slowing down. And I was asking why he felt that way, and he told me that for the last 2 years, revenue was never constant. Most of his income came from repeat buyers and not from new clients. And because of that, he felt like there was less need in the market for his services. What we did is that we looked at what he did to get new customers. And what we found out is this. He was the only one bringing in revenue, but he was also the only one doing account management of existing clients. Next to that, he was also managing the team. He was involved in hiring for his business and training the team. So you guessed it, he was working a lot of hours. And the thing he did wrong is that when he prioritized things, he prioritized doing everything else over business development. And because of that, he wasn't bringing in new clients. But he wasn't seeing it. He thought the market was slowing down when in reality he was barely doing sales. And since he was keeping in touch with all his clients, he would get a lot of repeat buyers. So whenever you feel something, your gut tells you something, and that's okay, or you have some intuition, well, ask yourself, where is this coming from? How do I know it's true? How can I prove myself wrong? And if you answer those 3 questions honestly, you will have the best starting point you can possibly get to know whether you should look further into your feeling or whether you just found out what the cause is and what you need to solve next. And what I'm doing with my client right now is that we're in the process of hiring him a business developer. That way he has someone dedicated to bringing in new business so he can get more time back and make more money at the same time. That's where most business owners mess up. They don't build teams, so let's talk about that. Whenever I talk to clients and they're facing some kind of client or growth related issue, their first reaction is, yeah, okay, how can I take care of this? To give you a super simple example. Last year, I was running my ads myself because I like running ads and I think it's fun. And I'm pretty good at it. I used to get a 40-to-1 return on ad spend, which was really printing money. And at the same time, it was kind of feeding my founder ego, making me feel good about myself because I was bringing in revenue. But what I noticed is at the same time, the people I hired last year didn't perform as well as the people I hired before. Now, long story short, I used to spend 20 hours on marketing, and those 20 hours were 20 hours I wasn't spending on training people, which is much more important. So I hired a marketer, and now I spend 2 to 3 hours per week managing my marketer instead of spending 20 hours a week actually doing marketing. And the best part is that we went from a 14-to-1 ROAS to a 17-to-1 ROAS, which means we're making even more money and I'm working even less. So the thing is that I wasn't doing marketing wrong, I was spending my time wrong. Next time you find yourself in a position where you think, okay, how can I take care of this? Ask yourself, who can I hire to take care of this? Because if you want to build a business that's capable of doing $100,000 plus per month, you need to build a team of people who are capable of owning everything inside your business. As long as you see yourself as a main problem solver, you will always cap your own growth. And after you build a team, you need to build systems so that the team can run the business without you in a correct way. But what I see is that a lot of business owners build systems, but they either built them wrong or they built them, and that's more important, way too soon. So let's look at when you should actually be building and implementing systems. If you have SOPs and playbooks, but people still aren't performing, it's not always a performance issue. Sometimes it's a timing issue. So you systemize something that wasn't ready to be systemized, and that's why it's breaking. 2 or 3 years ago, I was completely frustrated about how long it took for me to get new hires productive. And I had a coach at the time and he asked me to run him through my onboarding process. And I said, yeah, it's simple. I train them in a meeting room for a week. I give them the slideshows, we do the role plays, we do the exercises, and then I give them the playbook and the SOPs and everything, and then they do the work. But what I fail to understand is that all those things I put in place were things I made as training resources, and I never had them battle tested by me or by senior members on my team. And because of that, all my systems were either incomplete or built for people with more experience. The truth is that back then we were still figuring things out in my business. And because we were still figuring things out, building systems was actually just too early. We first had to structure the company in a way it could run on systems. Because if the systems aren't aligned with the way you work, your systems will work against you. So before focusing on systems, focus on training people to perform. You would rather have people you spend more time training who perform than people you spend less time training who don't perform because they're relying on systems and scorecards and whatnot that aren't aligned with their experience and their needs. And that's why you want to have someone by your side to help you with things you're not yet aware of, so you don't get blindsided. Most business owners only start working with coaches or mentors when things are bad, and I think that's a big mistake. Let me tell you why. The thing with us business owners is that we think we know best. And because of that, we often take things, head on, but sometimes we need to stop and think for a second. For example, in 2020, when the crisis hit, I lost everything. I was 150K in debt and I lost my whole team. And at the time, I was working with a coach. I was complaining about being stuck and that everything sucked and poor me and self-pity all the way. But he asked me to look at what the possibilities were, and I was like, I'm in the recruitment industry. Nobody's hiring admin people, nobody's hiring salespeople right now. And he told me to look at niches that were actually profitable. I found two. The technical niche, in which I'm still working today with my recruitment company, which actually makes 7 figures a year, and then the logistics niche. Because So many people started ordering online or even more during the pandemic, e-commerce got a really big boom. So a lot of companies needed more truck drivers to deliver the parcels and the orders and everything. But truck drivers were, and still are, really hard to get. So I repositioned my first company as a technical recruitment agency, and next to that I built a second one in transport and logistics. Long story short, I built the logistics one into a 7-figure business in less than 2 years and sold it, making around $500,000 in process from that company alone. And to be honest, it's one of the reasons why I will always keep working with coaches or mentors or however you want to call them, because that advice turned into a lot of money. So my best advice to you is get someone to help you grow your business who's not a part of it. It can be someone who has experience in your area, like someone who owns a bigger company or who is in a very similar market. Or alternatively, it might be someone who can help you with specific skills, such as a sales trainer or a sales coach if sales aren't doing too well. Or it can be a consultant like me who can assist you with the people side of your business. It doesn't really matter for who you go, just invest in people who make you better. Growing a business into the 6-figure monthly range isn't a small feat. It will take time, effort, and trial and error. But if there's one thing you need, it's undeniably great people to build your business with. So watch this video next. It will help you build a better business for sure.